like to introduce you to a really lovely woman and witch who I've only met you a couple of times, but I feel so comfortable with her, and I've been reading her work and watching her work for a while now. So this is Laura Daligan.
Hello.
And what is the name of your new program?
My new program, my revamped program on YouTube is called Witchcraft Diaries.
Okay, so how can people find it on YouTube?
Very good question. Actually, this one no, it's under Laura Red Witch. So you think Laura Red and Witch. That's my channel. So you can find that, or you can Google Witchcraft Diaries or go to my website.
Fantastic. I've really enjoyed so many of the pieces that you've done over the years, and one of the ones that I saw recently was the Neil Oliver-esque one about Boudicca's mound.
Yes,
and it was just beautiful, and I really wanted to find this place, and Laura very kindly has brought me here today. We've sort of trailed through lots of
winding paths.
Lots of little paths to get here, and we're here. We've arrived under this gorgeous oak tree on this lovely, and it's a lovely summer's day
for England.
In London. We are not being rained upon, so we count ourselves very fortunate. So can you tell us a little bit about this place? How did you discover it in the first place?
Well, it's quite funny because it seems to be a place people naturally gravitate to, even though they don't even know it's Boudicca's mound. And I remember when I first came to London, and when you're having a bit of a stressful day, I just found myself coming here and sitting here without really knowing why or what it was. And then I think I heard someone saying, Boudicca's mound, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then I started researching it and finding that it actually was this place. And it's just funny that everyone does come here anyway without knowing, and they seem to be drawn energetically to it. And then I found out what it was, and then everyone said, no, it's not Boudicca's mound. They were like, no, it's not.
Can't possibly be Boudicca's mound, no.
But you hear also things that, of course, it must be a windmill base.
Okay, one of the theories.
Yeah, a rubbish dump, which I think is highly offensive. And then it actually had archaeological research to prove that it actually did date from the Bronze Age.
Okay, so it is, regardless of whatever.
Yes.
Underneath all of that, we can say for sure that we've got a Bronze Age mound here behind us.
Yes.
Which, regardless of anything, is fascinating, because we're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, with a different climate, a different culture, different ethnicity, a different world.
Absolutely. Looking over London, because this mount looks over London, you can probably imagine Boudicca sort of standing here ready to attack.
Observing. It would be a very good vantage point to be at. So perhaps even if she isn't buried here, perhaps this was a place high up on high ground where before an attack you would have come and you would have surveyed the landscape and seen where the Roman camps were and where the walls were and where the the soldiers were garrisoned, where the legions were piled up, the 10,000 were piled up. So can you tell us a little bit, there may be some people watching this who are going, who's Boudicca? Who's Boudicca? Who are you talking about? So can you tell us a little bit about her?
She was a proper feminist of Roman times. I really don't know how to pronounce her name, because it's Boudicca. We don't know. We don't even know if that was her name. I was reading a book and they said that could just be
an approximation of her name by the Roman historian, because Tacitus probably wrote about her, so who knows.
But there was a woman, and her legend has gone down in history for the bloodshed that she left behind her. Because she wouldn't do what the Romans told. When her husband died, she was expected to take the land. She was expected to take her power, her ownership, her sovereignty. And the Romans went, no, we're going to tie you up and whip you, we're going to rape your children, and you're going to be a woman and get in your place. But of course she didn't.
That's right. And one of the things that I think is really fascinating, how do you pronounce it? Is it the Iceni?
Iceni or
Okay,
Iceni.
I've always read things before I've heard them, so I have a lot of trouble pronouncing things correctly
Iceni,
sometimes.
but it could be Iceni. Potato.
They're sort of northeast of London.
Norfolk kind of area.
And what she managed to do, which I think is an incredible feat, is unite a whole group of tribes who previously had really not liked each other very much at all. And so one of her, I guess, the energies or the messages that I feel about her is this sense of unity, this sense of when we need to put differences aside and we actually can come together because sometimes we need to do that, and quite often in life, you know, it's very easy to focus on what makes us different from each other, and to really kind of separate ourselves from other beings or tribal peoples. They're a such and such a witch. They're an Alexandrian, but I'm a Gardnerian, and you're a fairy witch, but that one over there's a blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And we really get
Don't
caught
like the
up.
blahs.
Yeah, the blah, blah, blah. Well, the distinctions, they're important, I think, in some respects, and the disciplines are important. But so is a sense of the things that we have in common. And when I think of Boudicca, I think, what a feat to unite peoples who previously would have just been...
Yeah,
and they're talking to you.
And obviously what they were against was far greater than what their differences were. Because women used to fight, didn't they? Women used to be warriors. People go, oh, Boudicca, she's like so mean to kill people. Women did.
Absolutely.
You know, they were pretty hardcore, and Romans tried to stop that. So they kind of all got together and they burnt culture to the ground. Whether you appreciate what they did or not, it's a feat.
And it's true, we can't just sort of say, oh, Boudicca was a really lovely woman who meditated on this mound and managed to bring... No, there are terrible tales of what took place to the Roman people within, and the women,
children, all locked in in cultures of the temple and all burnt down, all killed, and that's horrible, obviously. Yeah. And it was a brutal time, and I guess, you know, warfare is never pretty, but there's this sense of she was a mighty warrioress, and she was bloodthirsty, and she was a huntress. She hunted. They hurt
the
her
Romans.
children.
That's right.
People. She was going
she
to
reminds
stop
me
it.
of Carly in some respects, and I've never made that.
Maybe
Conjunction? Is that the right word? I've never made that correspondence or whatever before, but I've just thought, don't touch the children.
No, and always old goddess Morrigan, you know, Carly. They weren't pretty going, oh, you do what you like. They were like, we will, you know, war, battle. And these were the goddesses these would have worshipped. Not Carly, but you know, that kind of.
But that sense of, you know, Boudicca isn't a goddess, strictly speaking, but I think she has the energy of the Morrigan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that energy of death.
Yep, revenge.
It's not to be feared. And apparently, this is where I put my nerd hat on now.
I love nerd
let's all get nerd hats. They look a little like witches' hats, but they'll have their own glasses that are suspended
from Harry Potter
and come down. Apparently she worshipped a goddess. I can't remember her name. Isn't that wonderful? But the goddess's, I guess, animal counterpart was a hare, a white hare.
Wow.
And it has something to do with the sort of legends of how witches shapeshift into hares.
Yeah.
And isn't it terrible? How fascinating that I cannot remember her name. I'll put it in a note
in the bottom
underneath it, so I actually look quite clever. And it begins with A. Andrus Day! Andrus Day! Thank you! Yes! And there's a terrific speech that she makes to Andrus Day at some time, and I looked at Elizabeth, you know, Elizabeth I's speech prior to the invasion of the Armada, I think, because Tacitus recorded Boudicca's speech, I think Elizabeth I read that speech and incorporated it into her speech that she gave prior to having to stir up all these poor farm boys and just people plucked off the land. It's like, you're the last, the last bastion. But it makes sense because the energy of Boudicca is to stir you, to bring up this force within you so that you will protect what you need to take care of.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite funny how now there's Prince Albert, Victoria's Queen Victoria's husband. They all got very into Boudicca in the Victorian times. They put a statue of her very near, in the central area, Westminster area, and you think that's a strange thing to do, considering really, I think that she was murdering Londoners.
Yes.
But obviously that they felt that they really suddenly went, no, this is this feminine power that we're going to embody with Victoria as well, the empire.
And any time there has been this incredible rise in female power through a monarch, it seems to me that her energy has somehow got pulled through. She was like, I'm not sure I want to hang out with you, you people from Germany, who somehow ended up on the throne here. Do you find that, would you say, British energy, British feminine energy?
So it's nice. I think it's nice to have that link to the past, that link to our homegrown kind of feisty energy. And again, I'm not Romans have done a lot for this country, but I don't really dig that part very much with Romans. And I think, because they dug right over all our sacred sites.
That's right.
I find that fighting against that, and which now you can kind of correlate to the kind of the culture where everything's been built over, everything's, it's almost like you can really take the energy of Boudicca, and hopefully that's okay.
Yeah.
And take it as well as the fighting spirit of the, I don't know if it's the British, it's just people of this country.
Yes, the indigenous, because we're all indigenous people, no matter where
exactly
we find. I find myself in Australia, and clearly my bloodline has nothing to do with the country that I now find myself in, and yes, it is my home, and I have no idea where my home is. There's some Welsh, some Irish, and
Maida Vale.
Exactly. I'm a hodgepodge. But I find myself that feels at home, and with the organ I'm oak, so it just thrills me to sit underneath this oak and speak of this being. What kind of did she have a chariot? Because she's depicted with a chariot.
Yeah, the chariot, though, but it was a little bit more simple than they're made out to be. Chariot, but that's because a lot of images were meant to instill fear in you, weren't they? So the power that she had, it was meant to instill fear for a long time. And apparently, there's still a layer of earth underneath London which is stained blood red. All the people that were murdered at this fight. So it would be a tale that would have instilled fear.
It's so funny you mention that, because I was thinking about Tower Hill today.
Yep.
And I was thinking that if you dug deep enough, you must find a layer. You must find a layer that holds the blood of the ancestors. Because we've been thinking about ancestors today with Highgate Cemetery. It's come up today again and again. And yet, this is where everything comes from. The trees, the earth, everything drinks it in and grows again out of it. But underneath the veneer of a city, underneath the concrete and the stop signs and all the regulatory mechanisms that make it seem very ordered, there's something else, and it's the blood and the bone of the ancestors.
Absolutely.
And even here in a place that's so natural, there are people here. All of these people and all of these spirits, her and me. There's maybe there's some ley lines that you were saying.
You can see probably, you can't see unfortunately, but straight on there's two churches in a straight line ahead of us over there. And I was doing some dowsing, and you can see that there's a line going straight that way. But also there's some really important ones that are going to Tower Hill, going to Tower of London.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Buckingham Palace. Sorry, Westminster also. Buckingham Palace. So there's great sites. There's a cemetery as well on the other side, like Brie as well. There's a ley line leading to it from here. And I've been here with my dowsing ones, and you can just see all angles. There's just lines leading off, and then you look at the distance, and there's a site like St Paul's Cathedral, there's a site like the Tower of London, or two churches in a line. So it is an important spot.
It is.
And I think as people gravitate here without even knowing why they are, they're being pulled by the energy to sit here to, maybe take it all in and to get something from it.
If you were a person coming to London, and a pagan person or a person interested in the esoteric coming to London, where would you recommend that they go?
Ooh.
They have 3 days. Let's say it's 3 days.
Well, they'd have.
And the weather's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It would be lovely to come here. It's a really nice place to go. It's a nice place, energy-wise. British Museum, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Got to go to the British Museum. And I would say as well, there's some amazing magical shops and magical places in the centre. I do feel like near the British Museum, and it is a very magical. You're looking at like the secret societies of the 1800s.
That's right. Well, we're talking more about sort of the Golden Dawn and all the societies and fraternities that sort of sprang up, and those fabulous characters and. There's Maud Gonne and there's Uncle Alistair Crowley, sorry, and I love that area. And in fact, I had my first ever tarot reading at Mysteries in Covent Garden.
Still there. That's still there.
And there's Treadwell's and Atlantis.
All in this kind of pretty half a mile vicinity
Yes.
area which you can walk to, and it has got this vibe of just, you know, that time. It's just so exciting. It's
Yes.
an exciting time for magic in this country.
Well, that's what England really has offered the world. Has
Yeah.
really Wicca developed in this country. It's a grown spirituality that has extended out into the world and has particularly had resonance at, you know, I guess over the last 100 years. Well, of course it has over the last 100 years, but it's really been relevant, this sort of return to the earth and return to nature. And I always think of, it's so fascinating to me that it came out of London or it came out of England just as there was this massive industrial revolution, and as all the green places were being decimated, hand worship sprung up, and all these secret societies and brilliant magicians and occultists emerged.
It's fascinating, and it's, you know, you can't say it's a coincidence, can you? Really?
No, there's something about this city.
And there was that when the night where the Germans were meant to invade in World War II, and all the witches of that time went down to into the forest, and they spent all. I think one old guy unfortunately passed away. He was putting so much energy into it, and the Germans never came.
Well, Dion Fortune wrote that book, the psychic battle of Britain, which I have a very expensive copy of at home, but I think it's coming out again soon. And you know, I just think that this city has an enormous amount to offer, a little away and yet somehow within what we call the tourist areas. There are sacred sites. There's a temple to Mithras, apparently. The remains of a temple to Mithras, somewhere in the city. I haven't found it yet because I am a little bit naughty. Sometimes I go, if it's Roman, I don't want it. I make myself laugh sometimes because how come I'm still angry about the Romans?
Oh, I get that.
But you know, it's kind of a pagan thing.
Last time I went to
even though they were pagans.
I know, and they were generally quite friendly towards pagans. Generally, like, you do your own thing.
Yeah.
Unless you're a woman, then you just stop doing your own thing.
Yes. But I would really recommend that if you find yourself in this part of the world, Primrose Hill is another place.
Yep.
I guess for people who are into druidry,
they still gather there very early in the morning.
Okay.
On the major dates, they celebrate there still. They're very good at get up early.
They do.
Also, you get to St Bride's Chapel as well,
yes.
and that's got the wedding cake roof, and it's St Bridget, obviously.
So right underneath is a well.
And underneath is a well, and you can go under and you can see again the Roman streets from, you know, dug away. There's a great archaeological site and a well as well, so that's lovely.
And if people want to make contact with other people here, what would you recommend? Should they go into like the Atlantis bookshop? Are there talks there?
Pop into Treadwell's, particularly, they've got loads of talks and workshops. Most days of the week there's a talk and a workshop, so they can go into Treadwell's, say, what's going on tonight? Well, tell me, you know, and they're more than happy to help you.
They're friendly and fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
And it's always gorgeous seeing Laura. And I do appreciate you sharing your knowledge with everybody.
I think we ranted
today.
a bit, didn't we? I think we
ranting is wonderful. Ranting, passionate witches having a rant on, you know, Hampstead Heath at Boudicca's Mound. It could not be more magical. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I do hope you've enjoyed our witches rant. And do check out Laura's station and all of her wonderful work. It's really worthwhile, very entertaining, and she's just got a beautiful spirit, so I really recommend you look into that. Blessed be, and we'll see you